call the meeting of February 20th, 2025 City Council to order. And tonight we have Councilmember Strawn with me, Councilmember Bauer, and myself, Wayne Groff. I'm the acting mayor. That will stand as our roll call. We also have our chair, Lindsay Matz Benson, with the Parks and Rec Commission. And so we'll be doing a series of questions for applicants to the commissions. And we have our first applicant here, so if you could come up to the table.
And our other board members are
Thank you. Yes, we have two other board members, obviously, that are not here. We have the mayor, could not make it, Dan Rowe, and we have Councilmember Robin Schroeder. And they will be catching up on the tape, and they'll watch that so that they can participate in the appointment process on March 3rd. We'll be with the City Council. So welcome. Thank you for attending. And so we'll be asking a series of questions, and we'll rotate through on the questions, and then we'll have some time if you have questions at the end or other clarifications, we can do that. So I'll start with Councilmember Howard.
Thank you. Thanks for being here tonight. If you don't mind, how do your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission?
First, thank you all for your time and consideration. You have a lot of people to be going through, so I greatly appreciate your time. I think two areas of experience. I worked at Medtronic forever, and while there, I worked in an organization that was a service group. We would serve the various manufacturing plants for Medtronic, so worldwide. We had customers worldwide. And my role was to be the liaison between my management, who would give me directives, metrics, goals, that kind of thing. And then I would go out to the manufacturing groups and provide a service. But as part of that, I was the liaison to gather information, learn about their needs, learn about unique situations, because every country was different with requirements. And so I see that as similar to being on the Parks and Rec Commission, in that I'm the one who is facing our customers, learning about them, and then providing the information back to my management. And through that process, I can better inform them. So if there needs to be changes in goals, whatever it may be. And I loved that, being that person to build those relationships. To me, that was very important. Similarly, I was on the board for the Midway Speed Skating Club and president for several years. And that was another area where I felt I played the liaison role very well, in that we had skaters who were, little kids, grade school age, on up to those who had Olympic dreams. And my being on the board, I wanted to represent each of them. And so in, funding, in, just knowing things about the kids, I wanted to ensure they all had an equal experience. So again, being that person to be a bridge between the kids, their parents, and then our, our budgets and other goals as a club. So.
Thank you. I'm just going to rotate through. It's easier.
certainly. Yeah, Dan kind of goes weird, like.
I don't know what the pattern is, and we always get confused. So the next question is, what motivates you to be part of this volunteer commission?
Well, recently retired. So for most of my adult life, it's been volunteering, being part of my daughter's activities. So participating in those. And now I get to sit back and go, what do I want to do with my time? And I've always loved the Roseville parks. I mean, I live across from Mapleview right now, and on a daily basis, it's like, oh my gosh, as I left for this, there's a girl out there skating on the rink. It's like, it makes my heart happy to see what Roseville offers in the form of Parks and Rec, and how our community utilizes that. So that's what motivates me to want to be a part of this.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission that you've applied for?
Yes. volunteer advisory position, advising to mayor, city council, as well as Parks and Rec staff. I do understand it's not a decision-making, but, you know, again, back to that word liaison, you know, finding out what, you know, the voice of Roseville residents is, finding out the Parks and Rec, what their master plan is and how those two fit together. I also noticed there are goals that the commission has. And so the opportunity to be a steward for any of the goals or participate in, you know, just actively be engaged in executing those goals.
What do you love most about living in Roseville?
Well, I already talked about Mapleview. Yeah, just the parks themselves. And that's why I'm here, because they've offered so much to my daughter and myself. And I just love the way Roseville cares for their parks. I see that on a daily basis through the winter, the clearing of the ice. In the summer, you have, you know, getting the ball fields ready for kids to play in. Offerings for everybody, really, you know, from children to older adults, just such a wide variety of offerings.
And Councilmember Brower gets the last question.
Sometimes on these commissions, there's a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How do you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
I guess the biggest thing is to listen, to make sure that people are heard. I've found that something I've been very strong at in my various roles professionally and in volunteer work, just listening to people and making sure that they know that they're being heard. Then it's a matter of taking that information, comparing it to how does that align with the city comprehensive plan? How does that align with the Parks and Rec master plan? You know, are there adjustments that maybe as a commissioner we could advise, you know, a modification? So that's the biggest thing I can offer, is just ensuring that people are heard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to clarify or add to your?
I don't think so. One question, I was pleasantly surprised how many people are interested in the Parks and Rec Commission. It's pretty awesome. How many seats are there that you're filling?
Yeah, in front of you.
4.
It's 4.
Okay,
Originally 3, but then 4 due to unforeseen circumstances.
okay,
So
okay.
it's the most amount since I've been on the commission.
Right, we have a lot of applicants for all of the commissions tonight. So
That was
and
impressive.
last night we did also interviews last night, so we've had 2
Okay.
nights. So we've had a lot of interviews. That kind of leads into my next part of it. Of course, we wish you all the luck, but there are a number of applicants. So
Right.
if you aren't chosen, of course we have new openings that happen technically in the fall and in the spring, but sometimes during the year we will have openings
Okay.
too. And Rachel would be your contact person to keep in touch with those things. And of course, she has other volunteer projects
Right.
that she keeps you posted on. So,
Okay,
but March 3rd was the date, right? On Monday,
Monday,
March
March
3rd, the council will be reviewing all of the applicants, making a decision, and you will be notified, or you can watch the meeting also.
okay, okay.
And the mayor or council member Schroeder may reach out to you to speak with you if they have other questions.
Okay,
All right?
all right. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so
much. Go get out there.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
Mr. Acting Mayor.
Yes. We'll see how I do. She'll be the ultimate test. So you know that we're doing a series of questions tonight, and
I do.
You've reviewed those, and we'll go through them. We're just going to
Have.
rotate through them. And then at the end, we'll have a chance to answer anything you might have or questions you might have about the process. So
All right.
I'm going to be the first one asking the first question.
Should we introduce ourselves
Oh,
first?
let's do that. Why don't we start over here? You go
All
ahead.
right, I'm Lindsay Matz Benson, I chair the Parks and Rec
That's
Commission.
what I heard.
Yes.
Oh,
Councilmember Strawn.
And Acting Mayor Wayne Groff.
Councilmember Bauer,
Welcome to the council.
thank you very much.
So Lucy, how do your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission?
Well, in preparing for this, I reflected and I realized that my interest and focus on public policy began in 8th grade when I decided I was going to be a political science major and didn't even know what college I was going to. So that actually has turned out to be what my career has been, public policy from a variety of perspectives. Starting with, I've served in government, a variety of positions. I was a deputy administrator in Sherburne County. I was assistant commissioner at DNR, and I was assistant to the chief of police in St. Paul. So I've worked at all 3 levels of government, and there are others too, but those are some of the primary ones. Second, I've served on a variety of boards, so I have the perspective of what it means to be a member of a board or commission and work with folks. I just recently timed out on the Visit Roseville board, and in fact was lucky enough to be a part of that as we were working on the wayfinding project, and I'm pleased to see that while it's maybe not as originally envisioned, it's still creating some great opportunities. And I'm currently the chair of the Friends of the Oval Foundation Board, and previously I was on the Minnesota chapter of the ALS Association Board. And third, my husband and I had an association management lobbying company, and so I got some significant experience over the years working with associations, which gives me more a staff perspective of how the relationships are when you're working with a group of folks. Among other things, I was executive director for the Minnesota Association of County Officers, which is all of the auditors, treasurers, and recorders across the state of Minnesota. And also directed and lobbied for the Minnesota Ski Areas Association, which is all of the downhill ski areas in Minnesota. So I've a lot of perspective, all focused on public policy and working together for good results.
What motivates you to be a part of this volunteer commission?
Well, this is what I love. This is what I've done my whole career, public policy and related issues. So from a personal standpoint, if I can combine that by providing some benefit to my community, that seems like a good fit for me. Secondly, we've lived in Roseville since 2015. I love this city. The services that are provided here are exceptional, and I've had dealings with many of the departments, and to a person, they are professional, competent, caring, and just provide excellent service to both the residents as well as the businesses and the visitors to the city. And if there's something that I can do to help support them, I would like to do that.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission or commissions you applied for?
It's advisory. We don't have decision-making power, which is kind of exciting. I think that frees the group up for conversations on issues that you might not be able to do as the decider, and maybe reaching out and gathering information that might not otherwise be available in the process. And obviously the hope would be that by having a more broad process, you might end up with a better work product at the end.
You alluded to this previously, but if you could expand, what do you love most about living in Roseville?
Well, to quote, visit Roseville,
I know this is kind of a softball.
Yeah, it is.
we're perfectly positioned.
Yes.
I love when people accidentally just say it like that and you're like, did you read that?
I know. You know, if you should ever decide to need to leave Roseville, which it's a life goal of mine to do that only when I absolutely have to, you can get anywhere. It's just amazing. We lived in Shoreview for many years, and it doesn't compare geographically or access-wise to Roseville. It's just an amazing city. Again, the culture here and the attitude, it's welcoming, it's a robust community that has an incredibly surprising amount of services and opportunities for, again, visitors, residents, and businesses. And the process, in a variety of avenues in the city, seems to be a process that's driven for a fair result and a good result. And the staff seem very sincere in doing that. So it's a great place to live.
Sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps in opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
I have a mediation background in addition to being an attorney, retired now, and again, in thinking back, preparing for this, I realized that I was a volunteer mediator for the city of Roseville on a neighborhood issue probably 20 years ago with another volunteer mediator. You had a new construction in the neighborhood that was pretty troubling for the neighbors, and I think we actually spent almost a year working on it. And my recollection is the result that we came up with, the council actually adopted and the neighbors accepted, and we couldn't make the building go away, but folks felt a little bit better about it afterwards. So what I learned from that and what I've learned over the years is two things when you're in a difficult situation. One is respect for the people that are involved. Don't judge them or assume that, well, that's kind of a silly opinion or whatever, but you need to seriously engage people and give them the chance to tell their story so that they, and this is kind of a trite phrase, but so that they feel like they're heard and that they're understood. And then once you've accomplished that, if it's possible, then you start the conversation about the specific problem and look for the different options that might be available. And my experience has been that that usually leads to a good result. And often, again, you get some information that you might not have had that gives you a better result as well.
Thank you. That is the end of the questions from us, so you can ask us any questions you might have or any clarifications.
Well, I just, sorry, I can't.
I've got them here.
I do have a couple quick comments as far as the process, but as for me, I think I bring an ability to analyze situations and resolve or reconcile multiple points of view. I have years of working with committees and sometimes very contentious and very difficult, but again, respectful and thoughtful. And I have a pretty comprehensive perspective on issues. I'm not a micromanager, I'm not a subject matter expert on many things, but I can see how things fit together, and I think that's a benefit, particularly looking at all the responsibilities for parks. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces there. The two comments that I would have.
To share with Rachel, rather than with us on comments on the process?
Well, I think we can hear them.
Okay, we'd have maybe a minute.
Well, just two things. The one question that I would have for the council, which I'm not sure this is the place to answer, but what do you need or what are your expectations for what you get from the commissions and the commissioners to help you make your decisions? How do we fit together? And I didn't see anything in any of the paperwork on that. And like I say, I don't know that that's something that you,
Rachel will get that to it, yeah, that'll be.
and I actually talked to her about that
Oh,
out
good.
there. So, but
We have joint meetings with each council, and then Lindsay and I have crossed paths at many park events, have an opportunity to connect frequently. I think it kind of depends on who you overlap with, depending on what events you attend, but we look to the decisions they make because they take a deeper dive on some of the things, and we have the time to.
okay. Because, you know, some folks come with a real focus and on what their perspective is or whatever, so it just, obviously, you wanna do the best you can and actually provide you some useful information. And then the other question, and I couldn't find this in any of the material I went through, but the linkage between the goals of the commission and the department goals.
Oh, like the city parks and rec goals and the commission
Right.
goals? The commission goals are ones that we kind of create as just kind of touch points throughout our time on the commission. So we each kind of really have a sense of those commission goals as being something that we pay attention to, we attend events on, we talk to Matthew Johnson, the director of Parks and Rec,
Right.
about, and that we just kind of keep at the forefront of our minds, and that we're especially listening to. And then those, I think, really align well with the Parks and Rec department goals too.
Okay.
Again, like as in an advisory capacity and things like that.
Thank you.
I think, just to add in, I think one of the things we look at least I do as a council member, is to have a range of voices on the commissions. So you don't want everyone with the same skill set, the same life experience on a commission. So that's why you never know exactly when you apply who will be appointed to a commission, even if you have really good qualifications.
Right, no, I
You
understand
know,
that, yeah.
But of course, if that should happen, that you aren't this time, we do keep your name, and Rachel will call you again. Because commission openings do come up
Right.
during the year.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
But thanks for your questions and responses.
All
It's
right,
much
thank you and good luck.
appreciated. Yep,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Lucy.
Thank you.
And you are the vice chair? No, are you
Yes.
the vice chair? So here we're going to do, I'm the acting mayor. This is Julie Strawn, she's one of our council members. This is Matt Bauer, and he's another council member. Lindsay Matz Benson is with the Parks and Rec Commission, she is the chair. And Karen Schaffhausen is on the planning commission, and she's the vice chair. So we'll be rotating through questions, which
I'm up.
you're applying for planning.
Yeah,
Parks and
And
Rec.
Parks
And Parks and Rec, okay.
I listed both.
Okay, that's fine. So we have some questions, we'll go through them, and Councilmember Strawn will start the questions, and then we're just going to rotate around with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, and thanks for coming tonight. How do your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission?
Well, I live in Roseville. I have for 7 years. It's my second house in Roseville. I live right here on Victoria Street, and I love our city. I'm not a Minnesota native, but I've moved to Minnesota and love it. It's gonna be my forever home. I moved here to go to the Humphrey School at the University of Minnesota, a master's in public policy, and have worked in public service my whole career. I worked at Minnesota Department of Transportation, doing government improvement work and business process. And I currently work at for the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, and I'm a data insights analyst. So trying to build a data-driven decision-making culture at the parks, and taking anecdotes and bringing data to them, taking processes that would just live on, and surveys that just live on somebody's desktop on an Excel document, integrating it into our online data hub and being able to build off of that and be able to get insights. Anything from as small as wood ducks to as big as our ADA transition plan, which is gonna have $800,000 a year budget for the next 5 years to try and make our parks more accessible and also to communicate. So I live and breathe this. My wife works for the Department of Veterans Affairs at the federal level. I love serving the people, and I wanted to get more involved in the city that I live in. I live in Roseville, but work in Minneapolis, but I don't live in Minneapolis. I felt like trying to do some of this sort of work would be a way that I could participate and give back to my city.
So you kind of, this leads in perfectly, but what motivates you to be a part of a volunteer commission?
I think that I wanna get to know my city better, and I want to be part of it, and I wanna give back, and I wanna get more involved in the day-to-day, and I wanna meet more people. And I really thrive off of community, and post-pandemic, I feel like, I'm gonna call it the flake factor, is pretty high. I try and get my friends over, I try and do things but it's 37 and I've got 3 kids and they're 7, 5, and 2. And so it's a lot going on all the time, but I wanna try and take a proactive way of getting involved in the community, building community. I wanna meet more people, help improve the area that I live in, because I feel committed to this area.
Karen, staff council.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission you applied for?
So for sure, and I watched a couple of the Parks Commission meetings to try and understand what the scope is a little bit better. At the Park Board, we have, it's called tax technical advisory commissions, which are more like subject matter experts. But I feel like from what I've read and seen, that this is more of like a liaison, or like maybe if I'm like the advocate for the city residents, and maybe as a translator of something that might take a sentiment that is out there in the city and try and digest that and turn it into tangible, actionable recommendations to the city council. Because like at the Park Board, we have all these times where people are having very strong emotions about centralized registration. And there's a lot of good reasons for it to exist, and maybe some unintended consequences for it to maybe exist in a slightly different way than we have it planned. But I think the advisory council would be good. And my understanding is that like we try and take in what does it mean? Why are you so upset about this? Or why do you love it so much? And how as we, the city and the government, can we adjust and make improvements to what we think is here for a good reason? We have a plan to do something for a good reason. Because it's unfair to these other people. But you can't always avoid no harm, but you want to try and minimize it, and you want to try and provide as much good to as many people as possible. And I hope I have a right understanding of what the commission is, but to try and it, to some level, maybe provide some subject matter expertise that the city councilors and the mayor have a lot of things that they have going on, in the same way that a congressman or congresswoman at the federal level might be on a subcommittee about something. They might be a doctor, and so they might be on the health and education subcommittee because they know something about it. They can help guide and give directions in that area. And I have some technical expertise, but if nobody wants, I don't want to step on anybody's feet as well. I know I don't want to step on the feet of the staff. And so if to answer maybe one of your next questions, what would be your biggest challenge? Not getting too involved, I think, might be my biggest challenge, so.
Can you speak to that on the planning commission too, just briefly?
So the planning commission is an area of which I have a lot of instincts and maybe more as like a resident than or as a user than as somebody who does this professionally. I feel like I have a lot of professional expertise in the planning or in Parks and Rec. And my planning, I mean, we're in strategic planning, but it's all planning parks and trails and but I do feel like as somebody with little kids who likes to try and bike places and likes to go out to eat and shop and wants a livable, walkable, safe, healthy community that mixes, you know, wild areas and density in an appropriate way. Like, I feel like I have a sense of how things could go or might be a good advocate for the public. I don't quite have as much expertise from a professional level as I do in Parks and Recreation, but I'm very interested in it. You know, I was torn between putting planning or budget and finance as my second one, but I would really be happy to, I really want to get involved. I really want to serve and I want to try and do what I can.
Thank you. Would you take the next question?
Thank you. What do you love most about living in Roseville?
I love, sounds a little silly. I love the lack of bad things. I love the proximity. I love the schools. I have two kids that go to Parkview, and we've just had the best experience. And everybody who we meet at birthday parties and at after school events is always so welcoming and friendly. And you know, there's a diversity of kinds of people. I like that my kids go to school with kids from different nationalities and speak different languages. And I like that we are kind of a mix of urban and suburban, that I don't think I would be happy in Lino Lakes. And I might not be happy in certain neighborhoods in Minneapolis and St. Paul, not because I don't like those cities. I like a more urban feel myself, but I also like having a backyard where my kids can have a swing set and kick the soccer ball around, and that there's big parks you can go sledding at and have birthday parties at the picnic shelters. So I like just the work-life balance.
And I have the last question. It's sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
Well, I think that the biggest thing that you need to do is listen and try and empathize and okay people's reactions and try and understand why. Why are you feeling this way? What is it that's affecting you so much? What would you like to see different? Because a lot of times if people don't feel heard or understood, they can feel oppressed or trampled. And so if you can learn to understand, and a lot of times it's not always what you do, it's sometimes how you do it or what something could change within a project or a scope that might not tangibly change the total outcome, but could make a big difference to some people. You know, accessibility, ADA, communication, those kind of things, like whether or not there's how the approach is to a new building, or if there's a bike path there, or if there's bike parking, or if it's just paving over things to create 40 new parking spots. Like, people might have strong opinions about it, but you know, at a certain point we need to balance parking versus no parking because of accessibility issues and people who can only get to things via car and some who can't get to them in a car. So you need to try and listen and make adjustments, but I also know you can't always make everybody happy. You can't. And that's too bad. I want us all to if the world was a little bit more like Sesame Street, we were just a little smarter, stronger, and kinder, I think we'd be in a better place. But really just to listen and then to try and understand and make adjustments or make recommendations based on that, but always not necessarily listening to the loudest person in the room. Because sometimes one really loud person can really get a disproportionate and unrepresentative influence on the outcomes, you know.
We're running a little short on time, but if you had a couple quick questions or clarifications, we could answer them perhaps.
I don't know if I didn't come prepared with any questions for you guys, but I do hope that you consider my application, and I'd love to be able to serve. And if there's a place that you feel like is a good fit for me, one over the other, or neither, or something else, you know, I'd be happy to, and I'd really appreciate the opportunity. So,
Two members that are not here, the mayor's not here tonight, Dan Rowe and Councilmember Schroeder, so they'll be watching the tape, reviewing that. There is a possibility they will reach out to you just for clarification since they aren't here and able to ask the questions.
sure, and I have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything. Do you guys know when you're gonna make your decision
March 3rd will
by?
be- The decision will be at the city council meeting that night, and then the staff will let you know what the results are.
If I were to watch on YouTube, I'd find out right away?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what happened to me.
You can come here and be
Yeah.
present if you prefer.
I watch a lot of Minneapolis Park Board meetings on YouTube after the fact at 1.75 speed.
That's a smart move.
So,
Thank you so much.
thank you guys very much for the opportunity, and good luck with the rest of your interviews.
Thank you.
So I'm Wayne Graff, I'm the acting mayor tonight, and this is Julie Strawn, she's a council member. Matt Bowers on my left, he's a council member, and we will be doing the questions along with Lindsay Matz Benson. She is the chair of the Parks and Rec Commission.
Cool, yeah, I've seen you in the videos.
Oh, no. Sorry.
We don't have the mayor, Dan Rowe, here tonight, and council member Robin Schroeder, but they'll be watching the tape and participating in the appointment.
Okay.
It's just not tape, okay, on the video or the,
It's a recording.
The VCR.
Saving money.
yeah.
Very cool.
So we'll start with the questions, and I think we were up to, where were we, Julie?
I think I get to start this
Start.
time.
You were right.
All right, well, welcome, Chris. We'll try to make this a pleasant experience. How do your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission?
Yeah, I've been in sales for a long time, but ultimately I got into sales because I'm a people person. So I think the big draw to being on the committee or being a part of this group is that I get to talk to people and get them out in the parks and engage them in the recreation things that we have, for lack of a better word.
Thank you.
What motivates you to be on this volunteer commission?
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I really enjoyed just being outside, playing sports. Just the other day, we made some pickleball plans and they fell through, and I was so upset. And I had a moment to myself, and I realized why I get so upset about not being able to play sports. And it's because I just really enjoy the community aspect of it. So I think that's a big driving point for me to be a part of this group.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission?
Yeah, from what I understand, this position is kind of like a grassroots position where you're out in the field making connections with people and reporting back to the city council with findings and maybe some suggestions from the community.
What do you love most about living in Roseville? Looks like for 2 years?
Yeah, I've been here for 2 years. I lived in St. Paul prior, and then I got married and moved in with my wife in Roseville. I really enjoy a handful of things, but the top two things that come to mind are, one, the people. I think the people are just super generous and very nice here. And two, I really enjoy all the different green spaces that we have here in Roseville. I recently mentioned previously, but I got into pickleball recently, and I started playing at Brim Hall on Sunday mornings, and I loved it. And then I go to Evergreen Lake every other day during the summer.
That's great.
That's Benson gets the
Last question.
Okay.
All right. Sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps with some opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
Yeah, I'm kind of a numbers person, so I think there has to be some logic to making a decision when it comes to something like that, especially when there's so many people and so many emotions involved. So, I mean, hopefully there's some data points that we can go off of to make a educated decision.
Well, that's all of our questions. Is there anything you wanted to add or you wanted to ask us?
What brings you guys onto this committee, or is this a city council, right? What brings you guys to the table? I mean, what draws you here?
Does anyone want to answer that?
I ran for council in 2020 during COVID because I felt like no one else was saying things that I wanted to hear or I wanted them to talk about. So, and then I said I was done, and here I am for my second 4-year term. So I guess there's still things that I need to say.
Cool.
So, and I'm hopeful that our work on equity and inclusion will change and make the city even a better place that reflects even more of the people who live in the city.
You wanna?
Oh, so as a mostly lifelong resident of Roseville, I moved to St. Paul for a few years in there. I wanted to give back to my community, and being a parent and everything, I wanted to do something, a small thing that can do good, I guess. And so that's, I've been on the Parks and Rec Commission for 3 years, so I'm starting my second term. And it's just been a really amazing and life-changing experience to get to connect with people from all over.
Wanna add anything to that?
No, I kind of echo that, very much about giving back and serving the community and having an opportunity with my job and life to do that and to serve the residents and really enjoy that.
I come from a long history of being on commissions, and then I ran 6 years ago and was elected and ran again. And it's very interesting because you become very connected with the community, you know what's going on. You feel like you're able to contribute meaningfully to what's happening.
All good answers, yeah.
We each have our own kind of communities of people that who look to us for answers. And so I think that's what's great about bringing other commissioners in who maybe aren't our next door neighbors, but who represent a different community of people that needs to have their voice brought to the table.
Gotcha.
So thank you for being here, and the decision will be made March 3rd. It's the city council meeting. So if you want to come to that, you can. The staff will notify you. And we do have quite a few applicants. We were interviewing last night, we're interviewing tonight again. And so if you don't happen to get selected this time, be sure to keep your name in contact with Rachel Boggs. She's our volunteer coordinator, and she will notify you if there are any other openings. The openings happen usually twice a year.
Maybe they have cleanups of Evergreen Park, I don't know.
And there's always that too.
There's the natural resources plan that just came up, there's a unlimited number of opportunities.
Or build a playgrounds, we have.
Build a playground, that's a great one, do that.
I haven't heard of that one yet.
Yeah, they'll be doing a
Lexington
playground build.
Lexington Park.
The park, yes,
I
those are
did,
fun.
I'd heard about that. I didn't know it was from that organization though, but that's cool.
Parks and Rec Commission, and then all the volunteers who do it, so. Stay tuned, and they will notify you.
Will do.
And then when you head out, Rachel will send you the next person.
Okay, thank you guys.
Chris.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, and enjoy.
Well, I'm Wayne Gruff, I'm the acting mayor tonight.
I've met you a few times earlier when you first started at some of the volunteer events.
Yes, we have Matt.
Yes.
This is Matt Lauer, he's the
You're the
council
new
member.
councilman.
I am the new one.
Thanks for meeting, thanks for, excited to meet you.
And then this is Julie Strawn, she's on the council.
Yep, I know.
And Lindsay Matzbach.
You're Park and Rec.
I'm the Parks and Rec
She's the
chair,
chair.
yes.
Oh, chair. I know
Yes.
she was.
She'll be,
I'm the chair of the
participating in the round of questions.
Nice,
And tonight
absolutely.
we have, the mayor is not able to be here, so he will watch the information, and so
Great.
will Robin Schroeder, the council member. So, I think we are up to you again, Matt.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. If you don't mind, could you explain or describe your experiences and skills related to serving on this commission and how they would benefit it?
Sure. I've been involved in the natural resource program from its inception, so it's been 10 years. Was on all the committees, and with being in that, I became a constellation leader. So at that point, we had constellations. I don't know how you know if that was set up yet, northeast, southeast, and that. So I was a northeast constellation leader, and then that got trimmed down to pretty much being the leader. The constellation sort of died out. And recently, I was on the TAC committee, and the technical advisory,
With Met Council?
no, with Roseville for the new natural resource.
Or that, sorry.
Okay, yep, for that, and I was, I wanna thank you guys, which made me very proud that with Matt Johnson and how they presented it, that you guys voted it and budgeted that in. I thought, in my mind, that was very important. So I appreciate it as a citizen, not in this realm, but thank you for doing that, because I think we really needed that desperately, in my opinion. I volunteer weekly at the Arboretum. I've done that for way back since Lonnie, way before Lonnie and Jeff were there. So many, many years. Right now it's Patty Sullivan. And I lead small groups there, so I do that weekly. So I do basically 8 hours a week there. I do all the monthly city volunteer groups. I help lead those, and I've done them from their inception. So every month I do that, and help Jim Taylor, and Rachel's there a lot, but mainly Jim Taylor and some of your smaller David, Ian, some of those guys come in and help, but I lead that, or help lead that. One of the leaders, not the leader. Take groups and help whatever our task is, seeding, buckthorn, invasive species mainly. Over the years, I've done many projects, and this is for Rachel Boggs and Jim Taylor, signage, trimming. I've worked on almost all the playground builds in the park. So this is a volunteer for these guys. I've done small maintenance for the city that they couldn't do, put, the Arboretum, throw a door in, so I was in construction in my past before I retired. And that's for Jim, and then Rachel Boggs, just many little tasks. She'll say, go out, I wanna see will you go out, Bill, and see all the volunteer parks, see if the signs are up. So she gives me a map, I go there, yep. The Nature Center, I volunteer almost for all the special events. I do the tapping, Wild Rice Days. I've done that from the inception, way back when Debbie used to work there. Now Dion's a new one, and so I do a lot of side things for her also. Besides the events, she'll call Bill, can you come down and tap the trees 2 weeks ahead of time? So it's gonna be coming up. I tap the trees for her. Or I need this lugged or this. So I help out a lot with her. So she knows me very well. In Roseville, it's going on, but in Roseville, I've coached hockey here from mites to the Bantams for many years. I've coached baseball in this community many years from all the way up through the system. So I know the playgrounds, I know the oval. I've worked in all those areas explicitly a lot. I play for Roseville Senior Softball. We're the largest senior softball league in the United States. We have about 385 guys. And I don't know if you guys know, you probably know, we're one of the biggest renters of your fields. We'd rent them all summer during the day. So I'm on the board of that too. So I'm very familiar with Victoria, Lexington. Some years we do B-Dale. I wish we would do more, Cokes, because we get real tight. But I understand I know what's going on. That's pretty much in that realm, and then I'd like to state here too that, and this is because of the city, and I have it written down here, I was a 2019 Gavel Association 2019 recipient of Volunteer of the Year. And I would like to thank the city of Roseville, not you guys, but there's certain people, was a member of the city. You have to get a nomination in there, and then they go through the representative, and I was represented Roseville and got that award in 2019. We had that right at the Oval.
Yeah.
So I was very honored with that. And okay, with all these this events and volunteering, so basically I've been at 99%, if not higher, of all parks and natural areas in the whole city. So I know it well. And I've dealt with tremendous amount of the staff, not so much city council, but all the staff from Jim Taylor's to Matt Johnson and the old ones, Lonnie. I'm going way back because I started this many years ago. And I've dealt with all those. And by doing all this, I think my past life in the industry I worked in, but here, this really helped me. Doing all these events, managing this stuff, coaching, have made my communication skills better. Not saying they were bad, but they sure improved them. My social skills. It's helped me become a better ambassador, which I'm a good ambassador, but it maybe even become a better ambassador. You appreciate your city more. It's allowed me to be better inclusive of all people. So when you coach and you do all these huge groups and these events at Saturdays you deal with, you got to be inclusive with everyone. I mean, from age to race to gender, disabilities, sexual orientation, all that stuff, which you have inclusive. You got to be so inclusive. That's just to name a few. There's, many more.
Well, we do have 5 questions, so you might be able to
Okay,
answer.
yeah, I know, that's my longest one. Yep, thank you.
The one I was going to ask is what motivates you to be part of this volunteer mission?
Because of my skills and I think my experience, I think this position would provide a great opportunity for me to fit into the community and help the community. There, is that a short enough one?
You made up for your time.
Yeah, I'm gonna made up for my time. I mean, I can elaborate, I'm a talker.
Well, you had a lot of things to say there.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope and duty of this commission?
Oh, absolutely. Because of the community. Well, I've read all the scopes and I fully understand all the scopes, and I can go through them if you want.
Just maybe kind of how you see what the role of that commission, of the Parks and Rec Commission is, and maybe Lindsay.
Okay, besides all the, you know.
Yeah, I mean, not really having
Okay,
to.
well, it's an opportunity, you're representing your city, and I'm proud of my city. You represent your city. You're an ambassador. You're an ambassador to your city. You give your opinions. I know I'm only an advisory opinion, so ultimately it's the Park and Rec Director and you guys. You guys gotta make the final decisions. Alls I can do is put my 2 cents in, whatever the task may be. If they're saying, we're going to Roseville Park and, look at the playground, do we need a new one, or do we gotta add anything, you know, whatever that task is, you know. And you gotta get out there, you gotta be ambassador, you gotta talk to the people. You gotta go under the direction of the Park and Rec Director, obviously, and your chair. But you wanna be an ambassador, you wanna do your homework and give the best to your ability, be honest. Don't hold anything back, just tell them the truth of what you believe in an orderly and a kind, and you know, you gotta be fair, kind, honest, that's basically it.
Lindsay?
What do you love most about living in Roseville?
That could be a long one.
Most.
You get one.
Well, I have some, I even wrote it down, but I don't even know where that is, but, oh yeah,
Top
here.
two, maybe.
I love everything about Roseville. I was born and raised close here, so I gotta make this short. I was born and raised in Anthony Park, real close on the border, my whole life. You shouldn't even say your age, I'm 72. So I've been around a long time. We always looked up to, in that area, as Roseville as being the modern, innovative. So when I moved here 31 years ago, 32 years ago, whatever it was the innovative. And you guys in Roseville, I feel, I've been here 31 years, you keep up on things. The maintenance, you keep up on the improvements. We have to keep doing them. That's another reason I want to be on. I want to make sure we stay in the new realm of our society. Things change, and so I want to be part of that change and make it happen. But the most I love about Roseville is the parks, the trails, and the natural areas. To me, Roseville is a little bit of it's a little bit of paradise in an urban area. Baba, that's because it is. We're an inner city suburb and there's no land left. We should feel so lucky. We have reservoir woods. We have the nature center. We have these areas. We should be so proud that they didn't get developed. You go to some of these, and I'm not saying they're bad, but you know, Richmond, they don't have the amenities we have. Now, these bigger suburbs, yeah, they could pre-plan ahead and they could leave these big nature centers, 400 acres, and we can't. I'm so glad that it wouldn't be you, but the council we did have and the people we had running the city, Rog and all these guys from the past, Lonnie's, and that they established these things, and we should be so proud. And that's my number one best thing. And you can go to the other things. Of course, everyone's gonna say, oh yeah, the convenience, and it is true. It's between the two cities, yeah, and it's close to everything. The amenities, the stores are there. Well, now everywhere I think it's there, the way we move in our society now, but that's a good thing too. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for me, it's the parks, even the rec department with the baseball and the youth athletics that they run, and the trails. We have some of the best trails. And we are maintaining them. They plow them I mean, it's unbelievable. I've had so many people that live in neighboring things. Yeah, they do plow them, but 2 days later, I mean, I think if it snows, ours are plowed, and people use them. And I want to get more use. And I'm a believer in we have to, and not saying that I'm old, you know, even if I'm not chosen, I don't care. We need youth, and I try to instill that in all my things that I work in, to get some more youth. I go to these events, and it's Well, people my age, mostly. I said, we gotta get youth involved. That's why we need, yes, we need younger, I mean, and not to say we need the experience. We need us. We need people like me, but we need youth, these new ideas.
So Matt has the last question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Last question, sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public. Sometimes these are opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
Okay, well, first, if you're having someone's opposing you, and I don't know what the situation is, first you gotta listen. Number one, you gotta listen to them. You gotta hear what they're doing. You gotta sort of get into their mind. What are they really thinking? You have to briefly explain what's been approved on whatever you're doing. It depends what stage this is in. I don't even know where it is. And it depends on the stage. So you don't want to say too much. And if these people are opposing, so we have to go to our Park and Rec chairman or, Matt Johnson, say, hey, I got someone here and I've told him a little bit what I got. How much more can I go with him? Or can I talk to him or help that person, refer him to our Park and Rec director? But refer them, but immediately get a hold of him so he knows it's coming, whatever this opposition is. This probably could be a little thing, it could be a big thing. I'm not saying, but me as I'm representing the city, but I'm not in the city, so I can't definitely say, well, this is, and I would want to not step on the city's toes. So that's why I would refer to a Matt Johnson or city council or city manager. And I would help them, I'd refer them, and then I would, after I referred them to a Matt Johnson, or I'd say you could talk to one of your council member, or you could talk to the city manager. And if something's really tiny, I wouldn't even bother you guys, but if it's something, and then I would follow up with that. If say it's Matt Johnson, Matt, we had this problem. I would follow up immediately, what's going on? Can I help follow up on this? Do you need any help? Do you need any information? And that's what I would do if there's confrontation. But it's mainly listen, and it's within our group, listen. I mean, if it was within my own commission, you could still have that happen. But you gotta listen, resolve, that's why we have a chair, and go, you gotta respect everyone.
Thank you for all those.
Well, I'm sorry I'm long.
Keep going.
Yeah, I'll keep going. Any other questions, we can go off tape. I don't even know if I'm on tape.
You are on recorded, yeah.
March 3rd will be the decision. It'll be
Sure.
at the city council, and Rachel will let you know, or staff will let you know what they go. And as you know, there are several applicants for every position.
Oh, absolutely. I totally
So,
understand.
and you've been around long enough that keep your name in the hopper and.
Oh, absolutely. If you fail, try again. But
Exactly.
and I know I'm on tape. Another reason I'm just getting older, and I just want to be able to do this while I'm still capable of doing it. I don't want to be 80, 92 and sitting here.
80, wait, that's not that far.
No, it's not for me.
Thank you for coming.
All right,
Thank
you
you so
need
much.
this?
No,
Take that out with you as a
It's
souvenir.
your, it's your commemorative
I'm so
plan.
excited. Thank you.
Let Rachel know
Thank you.
she can have
It's
that.
very nice to meet you guys.
Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
You walk in and you're a dog for a while.
I know, my dog passed away.
Oh. Well, that's why I haven't seen you walking your dog for a while, I'm sorry.
17 years old. I'm telling you right now,
That's how you get to see your
family.
neighbors is by having them walk by with their
It's
dogs.
been devastating, terribly
So you know
hard.
most of us here.
I do.
I'm the acting mayor tonight, Wayne Gruff, and this is Councilmember Bauer.
I know Matt.
Councilmember Strawn, and we have Lindsay Benson.
Do you know
She's
each
the
other?
chair.
No, I think
But
this
I'm
is,
guessing you're a neighborhood person.
She's on the Hamlin side, you're on the Lexington side.
yeah, I've been around a long time, doing a lot of things in the city.
And you've done this before, so you know we
Yeah.
go through a round of questions and then the mayor and Robin Schroeder will review so that they have
Okay.
the information.
Sure.
There's a chance they'd contact you, but you know they know you, so. So I don't know where we are.
I can-
It's your turn.
I didn't put my name
Okay,
tag.
we'll start
I'm
this
so
then.
sorry, I was chatting too much with Rachel.
Oh, were you? No worries. So the first question is, how do your experiences and how do your experiences and skills relate to serving on this commission?
Well, I feel like being a community member and living in Roseville for 32 years and being involved with a lot of the organizations, committees. I was on the Park and Rec, gosh, like 15 years ago for a long time, which is why I'm really passionate about it still. I'm currently finishing up my term on the Planning Commission, my second one next month. I'm glad we actually have a meeting, which I was thinking we might not. And just my skills and my passion and experience and wisdom and just being around. I've been involved in so many things besides just the commissions. I was on the clubhouse committee with Cedar Home, a lot of the visioning process. I know a lot of people working where I do, and my kids were super active. I chaired and was president of the basketball board, the softball board, all of that. I just feel like I have a good feel and understanding of what people and want with programming and parks. I just feel that we're doing so many things right, but there's other things that we could maybe pursue differently, or, yeah, I just feel really strongly about our community and our city and want to stay involved.
Thank you. Julie?
What motivates you to be part of this volunteer commission, after all the others?
I know. Just that I really feel being involved and rolling up your sleeves and being a person that stands up in your community is important. It's kind of what we've taught our children too. They all worked for Park and Rec and loved it. I just think someone's got to do it, and not everybody has the skills, the ability, the desire, the lifestyle that they can do it. I just want to continue to watch Roseville grow into the future, continue keeping the programs we have in place. Our parks are outstanding. I love Roseville. I live and work here and been involved for a long time.
All right, can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission you applied for?
Where we are just a recommending body, we don't have any say, we can't make any formal decisions, we listen, we hear the input, and we're here to support what, whether it's Park and Rec or like when I'm on the Planning Commission, what the staff says is best, and we are just like a recommending board citizen to what we're hearing and what's happening in the city, with whether it's parks or whatever organization. We have no legal binding voice besides that.
What do you love most about Roseville?
Everything. Our parks are one thing. As Julie knows, I walked our dog faithfully to Lexington Park for many, many years. Yeah, I mean, even our small, tiny parks like Mayflower are wonderful. Our green space, our programming that we have for, preschoolers all the way up to seniors, people of different diversity and equity, and we are an inclusive community that really is helping shape. We have people that come from all over to use our parks and programming. I just took a dance class last night with some former friends, and there was people from St. Paul, Maplewood. Like, we are a destination for a lot of the things that we have and we offer. Yeah, I think that sums it up. We like where we are. We actually were recently looking to possibly move or buy a place on a lake and can't find what we want, and the city is a big part of the reason why I wanna stay, so we're remodeling our house instead.
That's what we did.
Familiar story.
Yeah, Wayne's in that.
I know, it's like, when it's perfect, like, we kept thinking, okay, we want a bigger garage, we wanna be in a lake, but what are we giving up? You know, we're giving up so much, like our porch, our backyard, and I just like the city, I like the location, I've been involved, I like the fact that the community, we work together, we care about each other, neighbors, we are there for each other, you know, I call my neighbor, we're out of town for a week, keep an eye on our house, and, you know.
Well, I have the last question, and sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
First of all, you sit back and you listen to everybody's thoughts and opinions and ideas and try and sift through it, think more with your head than your heart, because we all come from that heart place, especially if it's neighbors or people you know, or you can empathize with the situation. And really just try and make the best decision you can. I mean, we are just a recommending board. Don't take sides, just stay neutral, listen. If you're out in the public and somebody approaches you, you know, you just listen, but don't say much back. Just be there to support them, let them know you care, but wait till you have all the facts and then look at what's best, almost like best practice or what's best for the city, or whether it's a park or a new development coming in. Kind of sift through it, I guess.
And you've been through it before.
I know. I was gonna say, one of our first planning commission meetings, this place had about 150 people in it.
Yes.
The development, yeah.
That was an eye-opener.
That was my second meeting, seriously. And I'm like, wow. Luckily, I've been through a lot of other things in the years of, you know, I'm president of boards and stuff like that, but yeah.
We don't get a lot of public comment at Parks and Rec meetings.
Yeah.
But when you do have like the park on County Road B, there was a lot of participation in the planning, and there were people that came into those that were
Yeah, when it's been the
strong
public.
opinions. So you do get some of that, but thanks for your
That's
answers.
one of the best parks. I mean, they're all great, but that one was just like, it's right in the middle. You wouldn't expect it to be there. It used to be a school years ago when we first bought our house. And
Oh, Lexington Park.
yeah,
Yep.
Lexington, we
Yep,
just,
my aunt went to that school.
yeah, I just like, it was my favorite place to sit with my dog. Just every day after work. It's amazing how much you miss them when they're gone. And that's the other thing, I'm not getting to our parks since September. Like, it's on even a day like today, I'd be out there walking my dog up to
Apparently, there's a
Lexington.
lot of fosters that are looking for home.
I know.
It's true, I heard that too. Is there anything you had for us? Because we need to wrap it up, our time is kind of creeping by.
No, I don't think so. I
All
just,
right. Well, you
I
know the
appreciate your
process.
time and,
And March 3rd will be the decision
Okay.
with the council, and you'll be notified, or you can watch it if you're
okay,
interested.
sounds
Thanks
good.
for coming in.
Yeah,
It's good
thank
to
you
see
guys.
Thanks,
Thank
nice to
you.
see you.
Back, thank you. Have a great night.
You
At
too.
least it's warming up.
Yeah, feels good. And you are Erin Lynch.
I'm
Thank you
Erin
for
Lynch.
putting your name tag up. I'm Wayne Gruff. I'm the acting mayor tonight. And this is Councilmember Bauer on my left, and this is Councilmember Strawn on my right, and Chair of the Board of the Parks and Rec Commission is Lindsay Matt-Spencer.
Nice to meet you.
We'll be rotating through questions,
Okay.
and then at the end, we'll have maybe a little time for us to interact if you have some things to add after the
Sure.
questions are added.
Great.
So I think we are up to you, Julie, so you can
Thank
start.
you. How do your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission?
Well, I have been involved with a lot of activities just within the city. I do volunteer with Boy Scouts, have volunteered for Girl Scouts, very active in the Roseville community and ensuring that people have access to some of the things in Roseville, especially the parks, especially with Scouts. And so I'm kind of familiar with that. I am also quite familiar with working in group organizations that are restricted by government, working with the public. I work for the state in my civilian job and have been in the military for quite a while. And a lot of that has, enforcing laws and giving recommendations and going through regulations and meeting expectations along with, being able to define what the left and right limits are. And sometimes delivering bad news to people in a kind manner to not, make anything worse. So communication skills, organizational skills, being able to read regulations and be able to interpret them to others for understanding.
So what motivates you to be a part of this volunteer commission?
Well, I really do enjoy being part of the community. I am soon going to be retiring from the reserves and was looking for something to fill my time. And I have been thinking of, being more involved at the government level in the local community. My daughter was able to participate in the youth program for being on a commission. She was on PUET, and that first got me, looking into what the commissions do, understanding, how it works, what the expectations are for the commission and how they can inform the city council and, potentially be outreach to the rest of the people within Roseville, so.
Matt, thank you. Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission that you're applying for?
Yes, so from my understanding, it is more of a recommendation role and being able to interpret, to provide guidance and community outreach, kind of being a conduit between the council and the people within Roseville and to do more public outreach. And then again, with the people within the committee, having an emphasis in the parks and recreation.
Thank you. What do you love most about living in Roseville?
I love the community. I was just talking to this with a neighbor that I can go out and go for a walk and I see people walking around and people acknowledge, you're there. People are smiling. Things are pretty close to, what you need is all within Roseville itself. There's public transportation available here. There's, this basically the community, and there's many opportunities for people that may not have family within Roseville to be able to reach out. I've done visits with some of the churches, the Scouts, and we've done outreach with the Gibbs Farm. And, there's so many opportunities for people to get out and see their community. And I really would like to enhance that and keep that going. And I think it's wonderful. I love that the parks are kept very nice. There's been a lot of outreach to get volunteers more involved. I'd like to see that with some of the more smaller parks that also can, use some love from volunteers. Central Park is like the flagship, and that's wonderful. It's great. I love walking around that, but I'd like to see some love in some of the smaller corners more celebrated, especially in like the Roseville daily or weekly, monthly paper thing that comes out.
Thank you.
Sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
Calmly. Minimal emotion. Sometimes it is preconceived notions on what is going to happen. And so I think it is important that if somebody expresses a dissatisfaction or strong emotions because of a plan that's going to be implemented, it's important to understand what are they actually fearing. Sometimes it is just miscommunication and it's not, it may just be a miscommunication thing, and so the interpretation may be much more overwhelming than is actually going to happen. Or it might have actually be something that somebody didn't take into account. And so understanding where that person is coming from, maybe there is a way to like, maybe we did go outside the bounds and we need to pull it back a little bit. But I think the big thing is if someone gets emotional about it, they need to not. And maybe even pass on, you know, can you address this, or give me a moment to try to understand what's going on.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all the questions we have. Is there anything you need from us? We will be doing, March 3rd will be the decision with the city council, and you'll be notified either by Rachel or you can watch.
Okay.
Other than that, do you have any questions or clarifications?
Are you
need?
guys pretty much tapped out since you've been doing this for an
Well,
hour?
Oh, yesterday?
The piece on that is we did do this last night and we're doing it tonight, so there are a lot of people applying, which is wonderful. We
Yes.
like participation from the public. But if you do not happen to be selected,
Yeah.
don't take that, you know,
Oh,
please keep your
I
name in the.
wouldn't.
And just know that your neighborhood is well represented on commissions.
Yeah,
Yeah, your block, you saw your neighbor leaving,
yeah,
Oh, funny.
yeah, so,
Oh, another neighbor?
Michelle is just on the next block,
Oh,
Katie
interesting.
Engman's on the next block,
Yeah.
Actually,
Brian Fichek is on the next
Oh,
block.
wow.
or is on
one of
block.
the scouts' parents is on the Roseville, the
Yes.
Parks and Rec Commission.
I know
So
who you're talking about.
I'm just like, we are very
connected.
involved.
That's
Our
good.
whole little group is very involved with the, so, yeah,
thank you
I
for
guess
coming.
it's peer pressure too, I
Yeah, you have to keep up.
Area.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so
We
much for your
appreciate it.
time.
for your time and
Thank you.
You can pass that
Well, let's.
Yeah,
2
we'll let
seconds
Wayne
and I
do
have
his
to bring us
thing.
back to order. We need 10 seconds.
Acting Mayor Graff.
Yes. I'll bring our meeting back to order after a brief recess. And I'm Wayne Groff, I'm the acting mayor, and this is Matt Bauer, he's one of our council members, and this is Julie Strawn, she's another council member. Our mayor, Dan Rowe, is not able to be here tonight, but he will review the information, and so will our council member, Robin Schroeder, when they have time. And we have Lindsay Matz Benson, she's our chair with the Parks and Rec Department, and we have Karen Schaffhausen, she is the vice chair on the planning commission. So they'll also ask questions. And you're Aaron Schmidt, so we're going to start the conversation with you. And I don't know where we are in questions,
me?
but okay, Lindsay Matz Benson will start.
Hi, Erin, welcome.
Thank you.
If you could just share a little bit with us on how your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission.
Sure. I guess specific to these commissions or in general?
Both.
Both, okay. So I work in healthcare, I'm a family physician, so definitely from the health side of things, the importance of open space for people to enjoy, and also on the planning side, cities that are beneficial to health and set up that, for people to live healthy lives and have access to resources and parks and those sorts of things. I have had some volunteer experience in the past. I was in the Peace Corps for 2 years in Kenya. That was 2004 to 2006, so that was my longest stretch of doing volunteer work. After that, when I was living in Iowa, I was on the library board of a very small town library in Iowa Falls, Iowa, which was a good experience. And then, since then I've been mostly raising kids and things, so haven't had as much time to dedicate, but
I do
finally,
think it's important to note that you live with 5 teenagers.
that's true.
I just think that's an important distinction.
Thank you. And Karen Schaffhausen will have the next question.
So what motivates you to be part of this volunteer commission?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's something it's always kind of been in the back of my mind as just feeling like I should start giving back a little bit more in that way. I think more acutely when the vote came up for the maintenance center and the passport center and things. I guess I was a little bit surprised to see that parkland was going to be used for that, and it just made me feel motivated to get more involved and, have more understanding of how those decisions are made and that sort of thing.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission that you apply to, both for parks and for planning?
Yeah, and I mean, I've got a lot to learn about it. And my understanding is the park side may be a little bit more, like at least from what I was reading about the planning, a lot of it is kind of, it's set, there's rules you have to follow, and there may not be a lot of wiggle room sometimes for the commission to make, changes or recommendations necessarily. Whereas maybe a little bit more of that on the park side, but of course, more advisors to the council and getting input from the community and that sort of thing. And I guess I feel like I like to know what's going on and how decisions are made, even if they aren't the ones I would choose. I feel like there's benefit in kind of understanding the process and being involved.
This is the easy question I get today. What do you love most about living in Roseville?
Well, we moved here in large part for the parks. Before I lived in Roseville, I used to come and play volleyball at Central Park. So that was kind of how I got to know the area. And then it ended up being a good central place. I work in Stillwater and things. So it's the parks and then just the accessibility to everything else around the Twin Cities.
Sometimes the commissions have a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
I guess I would see my role as just trying to listen and take in the different perspectives. Expressing my opinions, but not necessarily like arguing that with people that had an opposing viewpoint. But just, trying to make people feel like they've been heard and being able to, I feel like I could communicate viewpoints that I wasn't necessarily the same as my viewpoint, but be able to, pass information along on how people feel about things.
Thank you. That is all of the questions. Do you have anything you wanted us to clarify or anything you want to add to your resume?
I don't think so. I appreciate the opportunity, and so thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for being here. March 3rd will be the decision. That'll be our Monday meeting that week. And either you can watch it or you can get a box. She would let you know the decision. And there are, as you know, we were
People applying,
doing
yes.
interviews last night and tonight, so there are quite a few interviews for everything. But we also were just notified that we have another opening coming up. So there are always things kind of changing, and even if you aren't in this group, perhaps you could keep your name in it. We'd appreciate any volunteering you would do for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let you get settled and get your name taken up. You are
John Barstead.
John Barstead.
How long have you lived in Roseville, John?
About 18 months, 19 months.
Okay, there's just a big blank
Nothing
there.
there on the.
There's just a blank there, so.
We closed May 2023.
Oh,
Okay.
excellent.
I would have been here sooner if I would have known Roseville was here. We were downtown for about 9 years, but looking for something different and found the gym.
Yes, you did. We all agree with you on that.
I think I'll be speaking on that behalf a little bit.
So just a way of introduction, I'm Wayne Groff. I'm the acting mayor tonight because Mr. Rowe could not make it, and he will be following up with watching the interviews. This is Julie Strawn. She's a council member, and Matt Bauer, he's another council member. And we have Karen Schaffhausen. She is the vice chair of the Planning Commission. So we will be rotating through questions, and Robin Schroeder, who's not here, will also be just watching it. And then there is a small chance that they would contact you if they have any questions.
I was going to ask that if there's any other council members here that even the mayor, if they have any questions. I think I've got my contact information
You
there.
do, and if you don't, Rachel will be following up with you on
Great.
that. So I think we are over to you, Karen Schaffhausen, with the first question.
How do your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission?
My experience and skills, so my background educationally, I've got a Bachelor of Science in Construction Engineering from Iowa State. It's part of the Civil Engineering Department. The CEs do more of the transportation and bridges and treatment plants, and the Connies, the construction engineers, do more of the building, and that's where I wanted to get into. So kind of my a desire there. And after that, graduating with that, I've got 35 plus years under my belt developing around the country, virtually doing new constructions, remodels, expansions, and so forth, ranging from $100,000 to well over $250 million in costs there. I work both private and public sector, so a variety of environments and working with the communities or corporations has been a good experience in education as well. Part of the public and private sectors, I've done some residential with some, assisted living facilities around the country, Pittsburgh area and Delray Beach, Florida, for example. They range about 350 units plus 60 beds in a health facility. So some large private corporate and then some medical facilities as well as educational. And then on the public side, I've got some experience, managed the Fort Pierce City Hall project was one of my projects in Fort Pierce, Florida. And then I was one of 15 team members on the Palm Beach County Courthouse development, representing the Palm Beach County with that endeavor and that development. And not only just working domestically, I've got some little experience international as well. So again, it's a good mix, I think, where you get an experience from other cultures around the world and how they operate and how you decide on how to build and some of the things you have to take in consideration. I think those things align somewhat with what I understand is some of what the Planning Commission looks at and when they have proposals and look at submissions that are presented to the city for businesses or developments of any sorts. How does that fit within the city's plans and looking at how it will help the city grow and thrive as a community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What motivates you to be part of this volunteer commission?
I like to the process of building and planning and looking at not just a physical building, but putting together the decision-making process and how to guide the what to do's and why's, looking at what's being requested. I think, and again, with what I think and understand, looking at some of the videos, Planning Commission looks at, how does that fit with the comprehensive plan that the city has adopted and developed? Looking at the codes and statutes, make sure everything's compliant and put together in a fashion that's meeting those requirements. And then once aligning that alignment with the comprehensive plan, creating a narrative to submit to the council for advice and recommendations on how to what may be a good solution or a good decision in accepting or potentially rejecting one thing or another here to help direct the council on action.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope and duty of the commissions you are applying for?
And again, like on the scope is, I think the commission is the initial resource for the council to gather that information, take in that request, those requests, kind of the initial triage of information that would come in, whatever the business may be or development or request would be. Knowing what that development is like, understanding that well, understanding, I think, the impacts that it may have potentially. I think of what might the public works be involved in, and how does that impact their plan, their budgets, their functions within the community when these things are implemented or decided. And then again, as I mentioned before, looking at the codes and making sure they align with the ordinances that the city has adopted and make sure everything's done in a proper code compliant way. And again, as I mentioned, present that narration to how to proceed and with recommendations, defining that value and potential risks in whatever decision the commission would recommend.
What do you love most about living in Roseville?
The water. In specific, McCarran's Lake. I swam 15 years summer and winter, so spent a lot of time in the water. And water to me is very therapeutic, and I love being around it. But as I mentioned before, I think Roseville in this area is kind of a hidden gem that to me. And when we found this, it was just amazing that the location of Roseville and where we're at is phenomenal with the access to the medical facilities, the healthcare, the schools, the retail. The airport is less than 20 minutes away, not just nationally, but a globally renowned airport, international airport. So that brings a lot of value without having to have a lake house that you would have to drive to and spend a lot of time with a second home. So it is just, to me, a perfect fit, and we're very pleased here.
So sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
So I think, for the most part, people want to be comfortable, and they like comfort. And inherently, when people seem to be opposed to change, and I think when you want to do something in a progressive manner, you're going to do it with change. And the one constant in life I think everybody can agree on is change. So I think looking at that, when you know there may be some discomfort with the community, I'll put that in opposing force. I think it's the best way to influence that opinion is, and I've seen this as well with some of the video I've seen with the commission, get together with the residents or with the community, listen and listen well, 2 ears, 1 mouth, take that information in, do that, and hear their voice, listen to the concerns, and do it in a manner that is not dismissing to the community and showing a lot of respect to the community as well. I think that will send a very clear message as well, and open up dialogue with them. Then, if it's not at that same meeting or in that dialogue, I'm assuming the commission may go back and lay out the facts and the information that would identify the pros and the cons. And I've said before, is the values or the risks associated with whatever decision that's in front of them, and to give that direction, if there is a direction to be given, define those pros and cons with the community and give them the facts and the information and be very transparent with them in that process. And then in doing so, that helps then foster that and develop that narrative for the council to also echo that same sentiment in positive, or maybe not, I'll say positive, but rational decision on making those decisions. One thing that I've experienced with 2 different large firms I've worked for is the Six Sigma process. And it's looking at a process and defining some of the defects. And not that looking at the defects in a proposal that might be submitted to the council, it's a matter of looking at things and what makes sense, and is a way that I've learned through the Six Sigma training is ask a lot of questions, get a lot of information, and try to put all that together and see what makes sense, and that helps drive that direction to solving those conflicts or those that tension a little bit. And I will say this, I guess, in wrapping up that question, if the commission presents the consequences to a decision or recommendation and define those values and risks to the community in a manner that is, I think, the best way to put it is reasonable, logical, and rational in their thought process, answering a lot of their questions and probably a lot of the what-if questions is my guess the commission has probably received in the past. But to define those, that's probably the best method to convince the residents on how the decision's going to be best to support the community's health, safety, and well-being, while also developing that credibility and trust. And I think if, in my mind, doing that, I think you get back to that comfort and that credibility where people have peace of mind if they know what the commission's doing or the council's doing, I think there's more confidence in that and respect, even if it's gonna take some time for change. But hopefully, and again, the goal is to show over time, those decisions yield successful and sustainable growth and benefit to the community.
Thank you. Well, that is all the questions. Is there anything you want to add or?
So I saw there's a bit of training. Is there anything you could share on some of the criteria that you look to have the council, the commission go through some training? What does that look like?
Do you have a rundown on the onboarding process that they're currently using? Because it's been so long since I've been on a commission that I'm not as familiar with it.
It's relatively, I mean, and Matt can kind of speak to it as well. So, I mean, it's not, I think that it's fair to say that it's not daunting. The goal is not to have you have chapter and verse, understand the master plan and the codes and all that kind of good stuff. That's the job and responsibility of the development group. So it's more, the onboarding is making sure we understand the components of the role, how we operate as a team when we're sitting in the listening sessions, and then really clarity around, you know, why the planning commission existed, how it serves in relation to the state of Minnesota and why it's kind of there. So I think it is not daunting, and the expectation isn't that you're gonna have the master plan memorized, at least by your first 3 meetings.
But you know where to find it. and you're-
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you know the resources.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
exactly.
And the only other thing I would add to that is every year we have ethics training.
Oh,
and we
thank
are
you, yeah.
expected to do that. All the
Understood.
commission members are, and actually the council is too, because that has a lot, mainly to do with open meeting law regulations and communicating outside of meetings and things like that.
And it's probably a great refresher nonetheless too, especially on some of those sensitivities as well.
Exactly.
Or things that change over the course of the year.
Yep, things get added.
All right.
Well, thank you for
Thank
coming
you so
in.
much.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh,
Thank you.
the last thing is March 3rd will be the decision. The council
Okay.
will decide on appointments at that point, and then either Rachel will notify you or you can watch it at that time if you want to.
Okay, very good. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Your name tag up so that the people watching know who you are. I'm Wayne Groff, I'm the acting mayor tonight. Mayor is not able to attend. This is Julie Strong, she's one of our council members, and Matt Bauer. And this is our vice chair, Karen Schaffhausen from the Planning Commission. So we'll be rotating through questions. Mayor Rowe and Councilmember Robin Schroeder are not able to be here, so they will be viewing this recording of this. So to start, I have no.
I believe I'm to start.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a team effort here.
You're around 25th or 26th.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
It's starting to get mushy.
I'm sorry if it's trying not to be a,
Words, yeah, that's a lot. Pull it together here. Yeah. Exactly. If you don't mind, could you, how do your experiences and skills relate to serving on the city commission?
Yeah, so I mean, I think first and foremost, I just kind of love like being involved in the community and doing charitable work, volunteering, and some of the things that I've done the last couple of years. I worked for a food bank, Second Harvest Heartland, doing data analytics for them, supporting the fundraising and volunteer engagement departments with them. I've volunteered with food shelves, also volunteered recently with Habitat for Humanity. So I just really enjoy kind of getting behind those causes and getting involved. And so that's kind of what got me interested in the commissions was just kind of wanted to take some of that energy and put that into just my own community here in Roseville as well. As far as professionally, I started my career in sales, and kind of the focus there was basically working with big customers and developing relationships long term and just solving problems and trying to be creative, working in teams. And so I think from the standpoint of just kind of developing communication skills and working in teams and kind of developing rapport there, I think that was a good experience. Since then, I moved into data analytics. So I really just like digging into data and spreadsheets and doing statistics and analysis to try to find trends and insights in data, and then take that and take that to like the business team or whoever I'm working with and try to see like, okay, how is that going to influence like data driven decision making for us? And so I think kind of that more like analytical mindset as well, I think would be something that I would bring to the planning commission as well. Additionally, I just love to kind of just learn new stuff all the time. I'm very curious. I think if I were on the planning commission, I would just be very dedicated to learning about zoning and just kind of become a student of it and learn about different philosophies and kind of dive into it. So but I would say really it kind of comes back to that, wanting to do public service and wanting to kind of give back to the city.
Thank you. What motivates you to be part of this volunteer commission when you're applying for it?
So the more I thought about that, like I think zoning and land use policy is really important. It seems like there's a lot that kind of rides on it, and I feel like changes or adopting new policies, it seems like in some cases potentially could have large impacts, and so I think just like being very kind of balanced and measured and making sure to kind of see things from all different sides and just really be in tune with residents and businesses and what we're hearing, I think is really important. And I think also, I would also kind of like bring that analytical approach into it a little bit. I think if there are times when you can make data-driven decisions, I think it's important to try to look at what data is available to help that drive those decisions. I think one example of that, I was watching in one of the meetings, I think there is like a housing needs assessment that's being done, and so I was kind of thinking like, that's something where, maybe I would be leaning a certain direction on an issue, but then there's this housing needs assessment that comes out and maybe that points in the other direction. And so I think just like having that flexibility to to be able to adapt to data as it comes available. So those are a couple things that I think are important that I would bring to the planning commission.
Thank you. Jill?
Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of this commission?
So I watched quite a few of the meetings online. I think, considering like rezoning requests, land use, like sort of proposed changes to city code as it pertains to land use, conditional land use. So, basically, kind of working with the fellow commission members, talking through issues that residents or businesses are bringing up as proposals to changes that they want to see made. And then voting on those things and basically as an advisory to the city council. And then I would always, anytime there's a change proposed, I would always just go out to the site and just get a sense for like how things would feel. Like just try to visualize like what change would be made, to just try to get a sense for what would happen and what impacts it might have. And then that's kind of like a qualitative data point, I guess, that I could bring back to the planning commission and talk through. That's about it.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
So what do you love most about living here in Roseville?
The thing I love most about it is my neighborhood. I'm on South McCarran's Boulevard. I just love the neighborhood. I think it has a lot of character. I think one of the things I love about it is like the house is actually the kind of diversity in housing stock. So like we've got everything from like big new builds to 80, 100-year-old 1,000 square foot houses and everything in between. And I think that mix gives a lot of character to the neighborhood. I love the walking path around McCarran's Lake. I love McCarran's Lake and all the parks around there as well. So yeah.
This will be the last question. Sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How do you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
Yeah, I think just trying to make sure everyone feels heard, and I think like it's not very often that an issue is like black and white. There's just always a lot of nuance and and I think I think the commission exists to serve residents and businesses, and I think we got to just be sensitive to what goes into opposing positions, and I think. Yeah, make sure you fully understand all sides, and then potentially look for areas of compromise as well. But yeah, that would be the kind of the key thing is just making sure you fully understand it, and then and also potentially if there are data sources that you can kind of bring in to help guide the decision making, I think that is helpful as well.
Thank you. That is all the questions. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I don't. I've watched quite a few of the meetings. I feel like I have a pretty good sense for it. But I thank you for considering me. It'd be an honor to serve.
Thank you for coming in, and the decision will be made at our March 3rd meeting with the city council, and you'll be notified, or you can watch that if you prefer. There's a possibility that Mayor Rowe or Robin Schroeder, the other council member, might contact you if they have further clarification that they need. So they will use the information that was in your application to do that.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you all. Yep,
Appreciate
sounds
it.
good. Alrighty, take care.
Oh,
Wayne, I understand you're the acting
I'm
mayor.
the acting mayor. I was going to
He's
tell you
acting
that.
like the mayor.
You look good.
We're telling
And you
Dan.
have your name tag to put out.
Oh, yes,
so
thank you, I
put that
beg your
up
pardon.
because-
Yes, Allison Jensen.
Yep, and I'm the acting mayor, Wayne Gruff, and this is, of course, Julie Strawn is our council member, and Matt Bauer is a council member, and we have
Hi, Matt.
Vice Chair Karen Schaffhausen
Hi,
from the
Karen.
Planning Commission here tonight. And since Mayor Rowe and Councilmember Robin Schroeder are not here, they will be watching this and reviewing it and participating in our conversation after that, so.
Can I just, a
Yes.
point of clarification,
Sure.
you had indicated planning, and second was the human rights, inclusion, and engagement. You wish for that to be the equity and inclusion at this point? Because it has changed. in
The name has changed.
Oh, the name has changed, thank you, Julie. Yes,
It's at a couple different places in our,
equity and inclusion sounds like a very good second choice for me.
Thank you.
okay,
Just wanted to clarify, because
Thank you.
that was a more recent amendment, and mostly we learned that human rights issues occur, the mediation of those occurs at a state level, so that's no longer a part of that commission because it wasn't something they could actually accomplish, so.
times have changed since the early 90s when that was formed, so.
It's good to be clear on your scope.
It is, isn't it? Yes. So I don't know is it me now?
Your turn,
I was gonna say, I thought it was. I'm gonna start with the questions and then we'll just rotate through everybody.
Sure.
So how do your experiences and skills relate to serving on the city commission?
Well, I have done some work with Roseville before. I was with the Imagine Roseville 2025. And here it is, 2025, and I'm here.
So I've seen some of the things that we've accomplished, and that was very interesting. I was in a subcommittee of that group, but it's very interesting to see the vision that we came up with was in the 2040 plan, chapter 2, pages 5 and 6. And sorry. And I also, I volunteer in community, some in Roseville, and I have volunteered with St. Christopher's in the Episcopal Church in the past. And we have a beautiful, you may not have noticed it, but got a beautiful solar array you can see from Highway 36. These, I'm a PR lady and a communications person by experience. But I think one of the things that's impressive to me about what we're doing here in Roseville is there's a lot of transparency and there's a lot of communications about what's going on. And I think I could be a contributor to that. I'm terribly interested in land use questions. I've been an environmentalist since I was a youngster, nature lover, bird watcher for 30 years. And so I just think questions about balancing our natural environment and our land use with our, human-built use is very important. One of the things that struck me was reading that there's only like less than 2% of land is in Roseville is considered like, I'm not sure if it was not used or, vacant or, it's like 40% is family housing. This was in the 2040 chapter on land use, and I was just stunned. So in my opinion, every land use decision then becomes really quite important because this is something that we hold together for our community, and we must try to make the best informed decisions and just do the best we can to balance different calls upon our land. So.
Thank you. Julie, you're second.
Yes. So what motivates you to be a part of this volunteer commission and, of course, in this meeting, planning or equity and inclusion?
I'd like to do more on a local level. I did some work, as a couple of you know, on city council campaigns in the recent past, and I just think that the way that I, as an old political science major, politically interested person can make a difference is probably best done by getting involved in the most local politics so that I can have a voice and be heard and hear other people's voices. As a former journalist, I'm used to getting input, summarizing input, trying to put together what you might call a narrative or a story that makes sense for a situation. So planning, I think, Roseville's done a terrific job of it, I think, in terms of anticipating the future, doing the best we can to make a difference for the future. And there's obviously things that come up that can't be anticipated, but planning and being aware of the vision and the goals and the values of this community is super important to our future and for our children and our grandchildren and anybody else who happens to move in here.
Thank you.
So can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commissions, plural, that you've applied for, so both planning and as far as in order that you...
Well, I would talk about the planning because that's what I prepared for my interview. So I thought there was this great explanatory document about how to prepare for your appearing in front of the planning commission, and it explained land use related items are what the planning commission deals with. The commission holds hearings, gathers input, and then provides the council with expert advice based on the city code, which I know nothing about, I have to say. I know it exists. And then the comprehensive plan. So it seems to me that knowing that the city council ultimately makes the decision and that this is an, study, analyze, advise kind of position and, you know, discuss issues is what's interesting to me. In terms of equity and inclusion, I'm just brought up to be someone who believes everybody deserves dignity and a voice. And as I believe I mentioned perhaps in my application, my parents, who also were white, marched with Martin Luther King Jr. when they lived in Dallas in the way back times. And they always instilled in us that everyone should be treated with respect and dignity. And I think inclusion, because there are new people to come into Roseville, and they're going to feel like, well, these people, they've been, I don't know about you, Matt, but maybe they're third generation Roseville people, or they're, you know, folks who have a status in the community in real estate, for example, and very many people know them. And then when you can come into an established community like this as a newcomer, as I did some 25 years ago, you know, it takes some doing to feel like you belong. And belonging through community centers or community volunteer work or whatever is a lot of what we need as a society. So, you know, building on little neighborhood parties is totally a great way to begin to have that feeling of belonging, and then, you know, volunteer efforts and other things. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of the rights of everyone and for everyone to feel like they have a stake in the community.
Easy one.
Yes, you do.
What do you love most about living in Roseville?
That's not easy. Like, what do you love most? Like, am I supposed to pick one thing?
One child, who's your favorite child?
You would be the first one that was be able to pick one.
Yeah. Okay, so because I'm a journalist, I wrote myself a note. So I would say connection, convenience, and care are kind of like the big buckets. Thank you. Thanks for noticing.
Headline.
And so connection, you know, my little house backs up to a little pocket park. Our neighbors, we don't know everybody's names, but we see each other, we know each other a bit. There's another park, Lexington Park, just down the road. I want to go to the Ramsey County Library. I can walk there in 20 minutes. I want to go to Cub. I can walk there in half an hour. Or take my bike, you know. And so all those ways of connecting to people and to transportation and to, you know, the places I want to go, the Harriet Alexander Nature Center is not very far. It's not a far bike ride from my house. It's just, you know, there's a hockey rink down the way for when my grandson wants to come over and try hockey yet again. So that connection, whether it's geographical or with people, is super important. And then convenience, I mean, you know, there's Rosedale, there's Cub, there's coffee houses, which are actually great. You know what's great about that? So a lot of people, because I'm a writer, a lot of people I know are in the business and they want to meet over in Minneapolis, and I'll say, well, we'll do that this time, but next time you come to like the Caribou or one of the other independent coffee houses up here. And, you know, it's just, it seems like a small amenity, but it's just a gathering place that's neutral and you can meet there with one person or 10 people. And then the care, I think, is super important. We see it with the parks. We see it with our really, as far as I can tell, really good schools. One of my grandsons went to one of the schools for a while until they moved out of town. You know, the EMT fire response is great. There's lakes, the Roseville Area High School has a passionate and small group of people, you know, students who follow climate concerns. Kathy, I'll say her name wrong now, Radmunt has the Do Good Roseville. I was just reading her newest newsletter. All these things of people caring for each other. My husband does the Meals for Wheels program with some members from his church. I mean, it's just, anything is possible once people know about the problem and can do something about it, and that they care enough to try to do something is super important.
Thank you.
Sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
Well, that's a difficult question because, of course, feelings seem to run high these days. I think trying to make sure that things are based in fact and evidence and not just on feeling is super important. We're not logical automatons, you know, we do have feelings and that's okay, right? But it's just trying to call out the best in people to see things perhaps from another perspective. Or, you know, like on the Roseville 2040 results of an online survey, what should Roseville's priorities be for the next 5 years? The first one is protecting wetlands, rivers, and green spaces. When I saw that, I thought, oh, there must be a lot of people who agree with me. But there will be people who will say that wetland is a wasteland. You know, I know that. My first father-in-law was that way. So you can't try to convince him otherwise, but you might try to convince him that this land use for this piece of land makes sense for the ducks. And this land use for this piece of land makes sense for a new auto dealership. You're not gonna put in a pond where that old Cadillac dealership is, you know? I hope that made sense, sorry.
That's all the questions. Do you have anything you want to add or anything you have questions for us about?
Thanks, Wayne, Acting Mayor Wayne.
Acting Mayor Wayne.
I think so. I think there's some real opportunities here to do some redevelopment. And I would appreciate being part of that process. And I super appreciate you guys taking the time to interview me.
Well, thank you for coming in. And just so you know, March 3rd is the city council meeting when the decision will be made.
Yeah.
And then you can watch that, of course, if you want to, but also Rachel will contact you or the staff will contact you. There are several applications, as you know, so.
I do,
for each position, so if it doesn't happen this time, always keep in touch so that we have you.
I'll try to keep in touch and not be a gadfly, but we'll see. Right.
So you have your name tag?
I do.
Right in front of you because I am the acting mayor tonight, Wayne Groff.
That was explained to me.
Okay, and we have
Well,
Councilmember
Julie,
Julie
I'm not
Strong.
acting like the mayor.
She's acting like a council member, which is her job.
No, I mean, he's acting like the mayor and I'm acting.
This is Councilmember.
Acting mayor is a title, not a personality.
And then
can be.
Councilmember Matt Bauer is here.
Yes, hello.
And we have the Vice Chair, Karen
Yes.
Schaffhausen, from the Planning Commission.
Yes.
So we will be rotating through questions.
Okay.
And the mayor, Dan Rowe, and Robin Schroeder were not able to be here tonight, so they will be watching this, reviewing the
Yes.
information, and then they will participate in the discussion on March 3rd, which is when we will be deciding on the position, filling the positions.
Have you been on a commission before?
No.
Thank you.
So I don't know where we are now.
I finished, so
So it's me.
it's Karen.
She will have the first question.
So how do your experiences and skills relate to serving on a city commission?
Well, I have lived in Roseville since, owned a home in Roseville, excuse me, since 1997. And 2 of those years, I think 99 and 2000, I was living in California, I rented out the house. But since 2000, been a continuous resident of Roseville and have been paying attention to the pace of change and development in Roseville. And I think I've gotten a feel for the community expectations for how quickly we will achieve our aspirations for growth, for development, for improved city services. And I have seen that come to pass due to the leadership of the council and the mayor and the commissions. And my background is in chemistry, so I don't think that my education or my career experience really applies. But as a concerned and observant citizen of Roseville, I think I have gained some knowledge that would be helpful to the commission. I have applied for commission positions before, I think twice for the Public Works, Environment and Transportation Commission. And both times I think during the interview I said, this is not a position that I think individuals should campaign for. This is a position that you should offer your services to. And and that's my feeling this evening, that I'm more than happy to offer my experience and my connection to the community based upon 20 years of living here. That's a long answer to a very short question. I'm sorry for that.
But cogent.
I hope appropriate.
Next question, what motivates you to be part of this volunteer commission?
Oh, I think that there is a plan for Roseville. There has been for a long time. I did serve on the Imagine Roseville 2020 commission back in 2000. So, and of course that's come and gone, and now it was Imagine Roseville 2040. But there's a mission, there's a plan, there's aspirations, and the Planning Commission in particular has an important role. Well, I shouldn't be telling you this, you know this better than I, has an important role in directing the progress towards meeting those goals and aspirations, and also the pace, which I think is important, even among Roseville citizens who agree that higher population density is in our future. They don't all agree on the pace, or some may want things to happen faster, some may want it to happen slower. And some of the recommendations that come from the Planning Commission impact the pace at which those changes or those goals are achieved. And I want to be part of that. I think it's an important role. I don't know who the other candidates are for the Planning Commission positions. They may be tremendously qualified, in which case I would want them to be on the Planning Commission. I want the best qualified commissioners on every commission for the city of Roseville.
Thank you.
Can you explain your understanding of the scope or duty of the commission?
Oh, well, there are basically three roles. One is to advise the city council on issues that are brought to the Planning Commission. Another is to identify issues that might be brought to the Planning Commission and work with city staff to bring them forward in a format that allows for discussion. City planner Thomas Paschke helped me with a variance back in the second or third year that I owned a home in Roseville, and I saw from him the service that city staff can supply in helping me understand how to apply for a variance and what the process was, and even providing photographs of the site so that I could show the Planning Commission and then the City Council what I was talking about, which was very helpful. But the third is to, how is it worded? To engage the general citizens of Roseville and to hear their concerns. And that requires a fair amount of patience and curiosity about what it is that they're trying to tell you, because there are public comment periods when people will sit at this table perhaps and speak about their concerns for a development in Roseville. Maybe the roof on an industrial building is being raised too high and it will look like a skyscraper, or who knows what the issue might be? Dynamic billboards that flash at night and might provide light pollution that people don't want or do want. But it is very important for the Planning Commission to listen to those concerns at length, not necessarily as long as people want to talk, but at a considerable length.
Thank you. We've all been there, that's why we're laughing.
If we weren't laughing, we'd be crying.
Doug, what do you love most about living in Roseville?
You know, my neighbors. I have neighbors to the north and south who are just wonderful people. And I've had the same neighbors to the north and south for over 15 years. And, you know, they cooperate. We let each other know when we're out of town. They keep an eye on the place. I have taken the neighbors' dogs out for walks when they needed to be away for a whole day and dog needed to get out. Yeah, and I think that experience of loving your neighbors best about all of the good things in Roseville is shared with a lot of Roseville residents. I think the people that are closest to us geographically are most important to the quality of life. And I think Roseville is special for just that reason, that we've got a lot of people who get along as groups, not just as insular family units, but neighborhoods. And I grew up with that in Northeast Minneapolis, where as a very young child, I was over at the neighbors' houses playing indoors. They would, you know, knock on the door, and even if their kids were gone for some reason, I would get invited in.
You're very personable, I can see that.
I wasn't that good a kid. They were really good people.
Good neighbors.
Yeah, good neighbors.
Karen, you have the last question.
So sometimes the commission makes a recommendation on a matter that has a lot of strong feelings from the public, perhaps from opposing perspectives. How would you expect to deal with such situations while serving on the commission?
Well, you do have, I think it's very important to listen first, and with real curiosity, to try and understand not just the surface objection or concern or passion about a particular development or issue, but what's underneath that, what's behind it. And that won't get you all the way there. At the end of the day, you may have to just disagree and invite people to continue to stay engaged with the process of planning Roseville's future, but also to allow the process of making decisions to go forward. That if someone has spoken their piece and has been encouraged to stay engaged and still wants to prevent a decision from being made, I think you have to start to move towards being fairly harsh with people about, you have to let us do our work. And the Planning Commission has work that needs to be done. Part of that is listening to the citizens. And so until you've done that part, you can't do the rest of it, which is make a decision about what recommendation will go to the city council. And usually our decisions move so deliberately that there are multiple opportunities for people to come back and perhaps speak to the council if they disagree with the Planning Commission, or with any commission for that matter. And there are also online ways that they can offer comments in writing or by email. So I would encourage people to speak up and to be engaged in that decision-making process, but to let that decision-making process reach a conclusion so that we don't become stuck.
Those are all of the questions, and is there anything you want to add or have anything to?
No. My appreciation for the council members. The commissions meet once a month. Council meets much more often than that. Especially commission meetings tend to be short and very well organized. At least the ones.
Which meetings?
The planning commission meetings, the planning.
I'm like, okay.
I did watch some of them. I like to do homework and to be
I was gonna
prepared.
say, the ones that I think you mentioned were short.
There are long hours.
Sometimes.
And there was a time when city council meetings went on for hours and hours and hours. That I remember actually sitting in the audience watching some of those. It was painful. I don't think that's happening now, but the service on the city council and certainly as mayor takes a lot of time. And I, as a citizen, appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight and participating. And as you know, there were many applicants. We were interviewing last night and tonight also.
Yes.
So there will be a decision made on, as I said, March 3rd, and the staff will notify you if you don't.
And
want
as
to.
it works out, I am the last of the candidates.
You are.
So you folks have completed your mission.
And we are almost on time, which is amazing because we weren't sure we would be earlier because we had some long interviews. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Don.
Thank you.
thank you. I get to keep my name tag.
That's your souvenir.
Exciting.
With the Roseville.
So, motion, a second.
So we have a motion from Matt Bauer and a second from Julie Strawn. No discussion on a motion to adjourn, as I've heard many times from the mayor, but we are adjourned.